The Holy Lance, also called the Spear of Destiny, or the Lance of Longinus, is an illustrious relic traditionally believed to have pierced the body of Christ at his crucifixion. 3 alleged remnants of the javelin exist, but none are officially authenticated by the Vatican. One such relic resides beneath the dome of the Basilica of St. Peter in Rome, a gift to Pope Innocent VIII in 1492, following the Ottoman conquest of Constantinople. Another is showcased in the Imperial Treasury within the Hofburg Palace in Vienna, and is also recognized as the Lance of St. Maurice, being used in crowning ceremonies. The third relic is conserved in Vargar-Shapat, Armenia, with legends stating it was delivered by St. Jude the Apostle. The act of Christ's side being pierced during the crucifixion is detailed in the Gospel according to John, chapter 19, verse 33. But when they came to Jesus and saw that he was already dead, they did not break his legs. One of the soldiers pierced his side with a spear, and at once blood and water came out. This ultimate injury to Jesus' body is the 5th of the 5 holy wounds of his passion, with the soldier typically being recognized as Saint Longinus. Numerous traditions surround the subsequent history of Longinus' spear, and it has for a long time been associated with paranormal capabilities. Possession of it was thought to grant control over the world's fate, for better or worse. There are conflicting stories tracing its history with various saints or leaders, and its medieval renown was comparable to that of the Holy Grail. One of the most renowned stories involving the Holy Lance concerns its alleged unearthing in June 1098 during the First Crusade by Christian crusaders in Antioch. The retrieval of the supposed relic motivated the Crusaders to mount an aggressive attack on the Muslim forces, ultimately defeating them in combat and securing Antioch under Christian control. However, debates surrounding the legitimacy of the lance led to internal discord among the Crusaders, eventually leading to the discrediting of its finder, Peter Bartholomew. Peter was a commoner who stated that he had been visited by St. Andrew in numerous visions, during which the saint disclosed the lance's location. He relayed these visions to the leaders of the First Crusade. Despite Bishop Adhemar of Lipoi expressing doubts about the validity of these visions, Count Raymond of Toulouse was intrigued and ordered a formal search for the lance, guiding them to the Cathedral of St. Peter in Antioch. Peter pointed out where the lance was supposed to be found. After a full day of unsuccessful digging, Peter himself jumped into the pit and emerged with a piece of iron that was taken to be the relic. The majority of the Crusaders affirmed its legitimacy and brought the lance with them when they battled the Muslim forces. Following the extraction of the lance, Peter maintained that St. Andrew continued to visit him, providing directions for the continuation of the crusade. However, as Peter's visions grew more frequent, and his criticisms of the late Bishop Adhemar, who had always been skeptical of Peter's claims, increased, doubts about the authenticity of his visions and the Holy Lance began to surface. Peter ultimately chose to subject himself to a trial by fire to prove the truthfulness of his statements. But tragically, he suffered fatal burns during the ordeal. The credibility of the Holy Lance was subsequently called into question. Count Raymond of Toulouse's reputation also took a hit as a result of his endorsement of Peter's visions. As per tradition, the Holy Lance, also known as the Spear of Destiny, is vested with divine abilities, conferring invincibility and the power to govern the world upon its possessor. In the days of ancient Rome, crucifixion was seen as a harrowing form of execution, so agonizing that the term excruciating originates from it. Romans generally spared their own citizens from this fate, reserving it for slaves, traitors, and foreign offenders. Death from crucifixion could span hours or even days, based on the individual's condition and the execution method. To expedite death and ensure the crosses were vacated by the Sabbath, soldiers would frequently break the condemned's bones using an iron club. Yet, when the Roman centurion Longinus encountered Jesus, he saw that he was already deceased and refrained from breaking his bones. Instead, Longinus pierced Jesus' side with the Holy Lance, and thus fulfilling the prophecy of the Messiah dying without broken bones and later being resurrected. Thus the tale takes its root. The spear traded hands many times, first with Saint Longinus. Longinus was battling a severe eye disease at the time of his encounter with Jesus on the cross. This illness had nearly cost him his sight. When he impaled Jesus, some of the Saviour's blood and water fell into his eyes, miraculously restoring his sight. Following this divine intervention, Longinus is said to have exclaimed, "Indeed, this was the Son of God," as cited in the book of Mark, chapter 15, verse 39. Deeply moved by this miracle, he abandoned his military life, converted, and adopted the life of a monk. However, Longinus was eventually beheaded for his new beliefs in 45 AD. The man who briefly held the world's destiny was later sanctified and became known as Saint Longinus. At some point, the Holy Lance, which had come in contact with Jesus' body and blood, was handed to Maurice, the commander of a 3rd century garrison of Roman soldiers originating from Thebes, Upper Egypt. In 287 AD, the junior Roman Emperor Maximian ordered Maurice and his 6,599 soldiers to attack local Christians in a town in modern-day Switzerland, make offerings to the pagan gods, and show reverence to the emperor. Maurice and his soldiers refused. Initially, Maximian executed every 10th man to coerce the others into compliance. When they continued to resist, he ordered all of them to be killed. Maurice's bravery and martyrdom became legendary, and he was later canonized, becoming the patron saint of holy Roman emperors, soldiers, swordsmiths, armies, and infantrymen. For centuries, holy Roman emperors were anointed at his altar in St. Peter's Basilica. Eventually, the Holy Lance found its way to Constantine the Great, the first Roman emperor to convert to Christianity in the early 4th century. 3 centuries later, Pope Leo III presented the Holy Lance to Charlemagne, or Charles the Great, who managed to unite most of Europe, a feat not seen since the Roman Empire. Charlemagne reportedly carried the spear through 47 battles and met his end when he inadvertently dropped it. German King Henry I sought the Holy Lance and finally acquired it at a significant cost. On March 15, 933, the feast day of Saint Longinus, Henry I used the Holy Lance to secure a victory in the Battle of Riad against Hungary, subsequently setting his son Otto I to continue his reign with the spear in hand. In 962, the Holy Lance still in his possession, Otto I was crowned emperor in Rome and became the first German to bear the title of Emperor of Italy. In 996, Otto III was so convinced of the Holy Lance's divine powers that he displayed it prominently at the front of his army during his march to Rome to reclaim the crown. Frederick I Barbarossa, the German Holy Roman Emperor, is also said to have possessed the Holy Lance. According to legend, his downfall began when he accidentally dropped the lance in a creek. The same king is believed to be resting in a cave in Bavaria, surrounded by his loyal knights, waiting for the right moment to awaken and restore Germany to its former glory. Around 1350, Charles IV had a gold sleeve placed over the silver one on the Holy Lance and inscribed the words "Lancia et Clavis Domini," Lance and Nail of the Lord. During the Napoleonic Wars, the Holy Lance was moved from Nuremberg to Vienna for safekeeping, away from Napoleon Bonaparte, who is said to have tried to seize it after the Battle of Austerlitz. During World War II, following Austria's annexation, Hitler ordered the Holy Lance and the remaining Habsburg treasury to be relocated to his spiritual headquarters in Nuremberg. The Holy Lance was discovered by US troops in an underground vault hidden in tunnels under the command of US General George S. Patton. The lance was returned to Vienna. As per legend, the Americans took possession of the Holy Lance on April 30, 1945, and within 2 hours, Adolf Hitler committed suicide in a bunker in Berlin.